You know what's one of the most annoying little things in a house? A wobbly, loose door handle. It just feels wrong. But what if I told you that you can probably fix it yourself in like less than 15 minutes? Well, that's exactly what we're going to walk through today. Right? We've all been there. You grab the handle and it just jiggles around. It's not just annoying, it can actually feel a little insecure. But here's the good news. Most of the time, this is a super simple mechanical issue that you can absolutely fix on your own. Okay, before you go reaching for a screwdriver, it's really important to figure out why it's failing in the first place. Honestly, getting the diagnosis right is half the battle. So let's take a quick look at the usual suspects. So, what are we looking at here? A lot of the time, the reasons are surprisingly simple. Number one, and the most common by far, is just loose screws from all that opening and closing. An easy fix. But it could also be a worn-out part called the spindle, a latch that's all gummed up. Maybe the door itself is misaligned. Or there could be a broken spring inside making the handle feel limp. Let's talk about this spindle for a second. Think of it as the backbone of the whole operation. It's this square metal rod that goes through the door connecting both handles. Over years of use, those sharp, square edges can get rounded off. And when that happens, the handle can't get a good grip to pull the latch back. That's when you get a handle that just spins and spins. Misalignment is another big one. It sounds kind of technical, but it's not. On the left, you see how it's supposed to work. The latch just glides right into that metal plate on the frame. Perfect. But on the right, you can see what happens when things get shifted. The latch hits the frame, and you have to jiggle the handle or push the door just to get it to close. Super frustrating. All right, now that you know what to look for, it's time to actually fix it. Let's get our hands dirty. Here is a simple 5-step guide to get that door handle working like new again. So here's our game plan, 5 steps. We're going to start with the absolute simplest fix, and then work our way up to the slightly more involved solutions if we need to. Step 1, you always start here. Just pop off that decorative plate that covers the base of the handle. Underneath, you'll see the screws. A lot of the time, they've just worked themselves loose. A few turns with a screwdriver, and you might be done. Seriously, it's often that easy. Okay, so what if tightening the screws didn't work? No problem. That just means we have to go one step deeper. The next move is to take the handle completely off and check out that spindle we talked about. Pull it out and look at the edges. If they look rounded and worn down, well, you've found your culprit. Now, if your handle feels stiff or the latch is sticky, lubrication can be a lifesaver. But, and this is really important, you have to use the right kind of lubricant. You want a dry lube, like graphite or a silicone spray. Whatever you do, avoid oil-based sprays. They're a magnet for dust and dirt and will just gum everything up down the road, making the problem even worse. Remember that alignment problem? If that's your issue, you've got 2 main ways to fix it. Sometimes you can just slightly loosen and adjust the door's hinges. Other times, it's easier to unscrew and move that metal strike plate on the door frame just a tiny bit so the latch can slide in perfectly. And finally, step 5, putting it all back together. Here's a little pro tip that'll save you a huge headache. As you're tightening the screws on your side, make sure to hold the plate on the other side of the door steady. This keeps the screws from going in crooked, which can damage the threads and the whole mechanism. So with these steps, you can fix most common handle problems for sure. But it's also really important to know when to put the tools down and admit defeat. Let's talk about when it's probably time to call in a professional. And here is a key piece of advice straight from the pros. If you've tightened everything, you've lubricated it, and that handle still just spins freely or the latch won't budge, the problem is likely something deeper. So what does that actually mean? It usually means a spring or a tiny gear deep inside the latch mechanism itself has broken. And that, my friends, is not a simple repair. It means the whole unit needs to be replaced. And at that point, it's best to just call a locksmith. Okay, so let's just step back and look at what we've covered. You can now figure out the most common reasons a door handle gets loose, and more importantly, you have a solid 5-step plan to fix it yourself. So the next time you come across a wobbly door handle, you're not going to feel helpless or annoyed. You'll be able to look at it, diagnose the problem, and know exactly what your next move should be. And that's really what it all comes down to. You're now empowered. You have the knowledge to make a confident decision. Is this a job for the toolbox, or is it time to pick up the telephone? The power is officially in your hands.